Well, hello again. Since we've now got our jukebox repaired, or at least for now repaired, this cuts me loose. It gives us more time to work on the old Thunderbird, of course. Let me give you a little update what's been going on. I found a center valance for this thing between those two there. Came out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I found it on eBay. It wasn't cheap. It came off of a convertible, but they're the same. Got a little rust on it, and it's a red color. We'll go ahead and fix it up. Not as much rust as you would expect from a place like Wisconsin. So I'm pretty happy about that. So hopefully that'll be here, maybe by the end of next week sometime. I don't know. It'll take about 5 to 7 days to get here, by the time they pack it up and ship it and everything. I don't expect these guys to drop everything. This guy has a business up there, some kind of, I don't know, recycling center or cycle center or something like that. And the eyebrow, this is the eyebrow on this side, and you can see it's loose. I told you I bought two on eBay for 20 bucks. They want $80 a piece for them if you buy them new. I didn't want to do that. They have come in. They're in pretty good shape. They're not spectacular. I think a good buffing on a wire wheel will shine them up real good. But you need the little kit that goes on the back of these things. There's a pin, a couple of pins on the back of that eyebrow, and you need a little clip kit that fits on there to push through the holes on the bucket, which is here. And we'll get to that later on. Unfortunately, I have two broken areas where those clips fit in. One is right there. It's supposed to be a round hole there. You see the bottom's broken off. And over here the bottom is broken off. Now here we're okay. We're okay with that one. And up here, looks like it might be broken up here too. I don't know. Now I have an option of trying to come up with a jury rig setup on that, which I think I'll try first. But you can buy, there's a bucket for sale on eBay. Unfortunately, they want a little bit too much money for it. I'm trying to stay within our budget. Our main expenses are coming up. Once we get done with all the little crap and all the junk, we have tires to buy. That's going to be, that's what, $300 and some right there. And I need a couple of wheels. The one that's rusty on the driver's side over here has got to go. I'm not going to be driving around town with a rim that's totally rusty. So I'm going to have a couple of rims and 4 tires. And I think that's going to be about the biggest expense of all. A couple parts on the carburetor. I got to buy a dash pot and bracket. I don't have a bracket for it, and the bracket's very expensive. I wish I could find an old carburetor that had a bracket. Then I could just buy the dash pot and we'd be okay. All right, we'll get rid of this Holly, and then. But that's about it as far as any major expenses to getting the car running and driving it down the road. Then we're going to move inside the car, and once we get inside the car, I got to cut out the floor, put in panel down there. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that. There was a guy on eBay, not eBay, but YouTube, who used 3M panel cement to put the floorboard in his Thunderbird. Well, I thought that was pretty good. It was solid as a rock, and it looked great. And he said on the video that he either checked with or knew about a body shop that was doing it that way. Instead of welding it all, they cut it out, of course. But instead of welding in those panels, they just went ahead and cemented it in with 3M panel cement, which it was really cool. But it's just a matter of choice. I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do. Plus those floor panels. I may just go with standard 18 gauge sheet metal instead of buying those floor panels for $100 a piece. I don't need to pay $100 for a little piece of metal and then have to buy 2 of them, one for each side of the car. Kind of dumb when you think about it. Well, but we'll worry about that when the time comes. Right now we're still working on the brakes. Which brings us to the backing plate we just de-rusted and painted. I can't live with that Rust-Oleum paint that I put on there with the textured rough surface. It comes off on your hands. And I don't know what the heck they were trying to prove with that. We're getting rid of it. I bought brand new, I bought some more Rust-Oleum, a different kind of primer paint, and we're going to go ahead and strip this baby down one more time and get this sucker repainted, both with the primer, a different kind of primer, and a black enamel paint. So that's what I'll be working on for, oh, I don't know, probably the next 30 minutes or so. We're ready to go again. This time we're going to try the old rust colored primer. It's for heavy rust. I figured, what the heck, we'll give that a try. I'm just going to spray it a little bit and let it dry and see if I get the same kind of texture. I did not like that texture on that last one. We'll come back and see what it looks like. Well, that's a whole lot better. I took it inside out of the sun, let it dry in there. Look at that, nice and smooth the way it's supposed to be. Alright, we'll just finish it up with this stuff right here. Take it back inside, let it dry again. And then probably after the sun goes down, I'll come out and we'll paint the other side. Now that's the way a primered surface is supposed to look, nice and smooth, you know. So I advise you to stay away from this free 25% more automotive primer used on metal and fiberglass surface for the ultimate finish. What a crock. Shows nice and smooth here. All they gave us was looked like somebody put some Elmer's glue out there and dumped a bag of sand on it, and then they shook the sand off, and whatever stayed, stayed. I'm not buying any more of this junk, I'll tell you that. Now, that having been said, I've got another one that's 25% more, and it's supposed to be gloss black. Will it give me the same problem as I had with this? I'll let you know. I'm only going to put it on. Tell you what, I'm going to paint the other side that faces the axle, or the differential. We'll paint that first, and we'll let you see what happens. It's supposed to look like that. See how shiny that is? We'll see. That is our first quick spray. I'm not going to paint any more until it dries, and then I'll feel it. If it starts coming off of my fingers like the other one did, then we'll have to do something else again. You know, we just don't quit. We don't give up. We don't say, ah, it's good enough. I want it to be righteous. Alright, it's been a while. What do you think of that? Now, isn't that a whole lot better looking than that sandy crap we had on it the first time? You bet it is. I'm going to go ahead and I haven't painted the bottom yet. I'm just going to go ahead and let it dry right up till dark. Just going to let it sit there hard. And remember, if a paint is dry, it doesn't mean it's hard, okay? And the heat out here will help bake it on there real good. And we'll finish up the backside tomorrow. And since it is getting a little bit late, I'm just going to knock off everything tonight. I've been tearing apart the push button assembly, the Tormat electrical selector on our jukebox. For those of you who follow our jukebox, I don't have a big enough vat to stick it down in vinegar, and I'm a little bit impatient on that anyway, because I want to get the stuff off my bench. I need work to be done on the bench. I want to get it done, so I used navel jelly. So it'll take about half the time. Of course, I got to put a little elbow work into it, whereas with vinegar we didn't have to do anything hardly, you know. Anyway, this is what's going on with our backing plate. Does that look a whole lot better than it used to? Yes, it does. Look at that. You know, there are some body shop needs to hire me. Let's have a little fun. Take a look at a few Thunderbirds that are being offered on eBay. Here's one right here. Alright, this one here, they want $5,000, I mean $1,000 more than what I paid for mine. I thought that was interesting. And it's located in California. I got to go out there and pick it up. I don't think so. This is a 1964 Thunderbird that's being offered on eBay for parts. Doesn't have a motor and a transmission either. And it's located all the way out in California. Well, that's it. He wants the same price that I paid for mine. Now this one isn't too bad, but again, you have to go to California to pick it up. It's $1,500 more than what I paid for mine. Not in too bad shape. I'm not sure, but would you say those are bullet holes? I would. Oh, man. Meanwhile, I'll throw in a few segments here and there while we work on the car. I've got all of our push button Tormat electrical selector completely torn apart, as you can see. And you say, well, where's the rest of it? Where's the thing that all the stuff goes into? Well, it's on the floor over here. And it is being given a very good treatment of navel jelly. And I know you're thinking, oh my God, that looks horrible. He'll never get that stuff back to the way it was. Yeah, we will. The temperature is not too bad today. We've had a couple of very short showers. You know, they're sprinkled all over the state of Arkansas. Hopefully we'll get a few more, which makes it nice and easy for me because I can get out here. We're getting ready to put this entire thing back together, but I want the crud and crap out of it before we do. I mean, this stuff is just horrible. We're going to take lots of rags. Let me zoom in here a little bit. You know, this is an old farm car. You know, it just sat in the field, drove through fields. Everything you're looking at is probably dates all the way back to the 60s when it first wound up in the fields. So we'll go ahead and take the old putty knife, scrape off as much as we can, and get it as clean as we can. Get these old bolts out. Those bolts are going to have to come out too. They just tap out from the front, but they can be stubborn. Yep, there's one. There's two. Yep, there's one doesn't want to cooperate. We'll get them all to cooperate, but I'm going to scrape it all the way back to this first U-bolt, okay? And then we'll get it as clean as possible. I'll spray it down. We'll get it all sprayed. It's just basically a clean job, you know. When I get ready to put the flanges back on, I want these surfaces where the gaskets are going to meet. You don't really need the gaskets. Brendan pointed that out to me, and I already knew. Matter of fact, I think when I was a kid, I never used gaskets. I didn't have the money for it. They just throw them back together with a little, oh, what was the name of that stuff we used to use for gaskets? Indian head gasket. Ooh, what a gross smelling stuff. Made out of lacquer, I think. Indian head gasket. Came in a blue, it came in a dark brown bottle with a blue label, and it had an Indian on it and a screw cap. Then it had a swab on the end of a wire that went down in there. And I'm sure they still sell it, but I don't want any more of it. When they came out with, or when I say they came out, when I learned about form a gasket by Permatex, that was it. I was done. I never was one of those silicone guys. I don't like that stuff. I've seen too many failures. Probably because the person didn't put it on the metal right between the two surfaces in the right way. But I'll tell you what, I have never ever had a failure with form a gasket by Permatex. Now you can get the soft and the hard. I always use the non-hardening, the soft. Well, I'll come back with you in a few. She's cleaned up real good. However, we have run into a small issue that's going to have to be taken care of as well. This right here is a spot. I don't know if you can make it out or not. It's shine it over from this side. See that bare spot there? That shiny spot? Not the whole thing, but right about in this area here. Let me see, where would it exactly be? Right here. Right around this area right here. That little spot is where a rubber seal wraps around. Okay? Just like on the gas tank. Let me get this thing moved a little bit where I can see better myself even. Anyway, that little spot there requires a rubber ring of some kind, an oil seal. And I didn't know that. I hadn't even noticed it until now. I worked on a Chevy for years. We used to pull the axles and put them in, and never had to worry too much about that. Now, on the rear. Now let me show you what I found when I cleaned up this rear axle. Alright, what you see here is a rubber seal. Let me get down in here. This is almost an optical illusion as you look at it. See that black rubber seal right there? Let me bend it for you here. Okay? That's the rubber seal that goes around that shiny spot on that axle. Oh, and this is the metal ring, this thing right here, that holds it in. So it's all one piece. It's a seal. So what do? Well, if they're in good shape and they look pretty good, just go ahead and put the axle back in. Wrong, wrong, wrong. It's not like I don't have the time and money to change some stupid little seal. I went inside and looked in the book, and sure enough, it's got to go in. But this one here is kind of interesting. This is the bottom here. Don't let this optical illusion set up for you. Notice how, see that ridge right there? Look how far it is to that. Quite a ways, isn't it? But then as we come up the sides, it gets closer to that groove and closer to the groove. Over here it gets really close to the groove. I don't know if you can make that out. So what that means is it was put in wrong at the factory. I am going to get one, and we are going to put it in right. So that's it for a stopping point right now. Like I said, everything's been washed and cleaned. Looks pretty good. And let's see if there's no sense of quitting today. I got a little bit more sunshine left. And a couple parts on my t-shirt aren't wet from sweat, so let's just stay with it. Let's see if I can figure out one more thing we can do before wrapping up the video. To finish off the video, I've decided to go ahead and pull the plug on the differential, see if any oil comes out. And the largest box end wrench that I have is 1 1/16 inch, and it's too small. So we're going to have to use the old vice grip trick. Not much I can do about it. It should not be in there that tight anyway, you know, unless somebody welded it. So I've got the old vice grip on the nut back there. I'm going to give it a few taps with a hammer just to crack it loose to see if any oil comes out of it. By the way, Brendan has pretty much talked me into removing the entire, what he calls the pig. I never heard it called a pig before. It was always the differential or the pumpkin. You take the bolts off and you remove it from the other side of where those vice grips are. You know, the other side of the big old bump. You have to drop your drive shaft, of course, and then unloosen all your bolt nuts on the other side, then pull it out, wash it all out, and then put it back in. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. If I'm going to go that far, dropping the drive shaft, pulling out the pumpkin, and having to wash it all out, I might as well take out the entire shaft housing. I'll have to pull the axle shaft out on that side. It's already, you know, out of the shaft on this side. And once I get it out, all I got to do is unbolt the U-bolts and just take it on out. Just give it a good wash and a good scrub and a good paint. It'll take a while. First, let's see if we got any oil in there at all. Alright, here goes. As I said, it should not take too much to crack it loose. All I'm doing is cracking it loose. There you go, she's loose. I've got an old mayonnaise jar. You know, don't throw things away that you can use. There's always a use for something out here. Let me see, you want to kind of get it under there. Hopefully something will come out. If not, doesn't matter. Just means more work to do. Not a thing. Dry as a bone. Well, that sucks. Oh well, this is something we'll be tackling probably in the next video. Oh yeah, there's one more thing I want to do under there. One of the U-bolts that goes up over the top of the the axle housing at some point in time has been bent at an angle. It got hit by something. It bent it pretty bad. So I can't get the nut off. So my brilliant idea of fixing this is to borrow a nut from another one, take a nut off one of the other U-bolts, put it on the one that's bent as tight as I can, and then take a hammer and you know, bang on the second. If I can get them to go up against each other, I'll be able to bang it and maybe straighten it out enough that I can get the nut, both nuts off. I don't know. That's the brilliant idea. But there always is a plan B. Well, folks, I'll tell you what. I'm just not strong enough, and I don't have enough leverage under here to actually break that nut off that U-bolt that goes around there, or take it off, so I can put it on this bent one over here. I just wanted to borrow it. They wouldn't let me do it. So what do? Well, the first thing we do is we go in the house and have a cup of coffee. And then we come out and we grab Sasquatch. What is Sasquatch? This is my idea of Sasquatch. That's right, a reciprocating saw with a hacksaw blade in it. I'm not going to bust my chops getting that thing off of there where it's bent there and straighten it out with a hammer and all that crap. I'm going to chop it off, and then all we have to do is remove a few threads, get it down a few threads to get it off. Either way, it's got to come off. It'll be a weak point. I can't like straighten it out. It'll be a weak point. So how am I going to make out with that? Well, I really don't know. But you'll all find out next time. So until then, this is John. Well, surprise, surprise, it didn't take but about 30 seconds with that Sawzall to cut through that hunk of metal, through that bolt. I couldn't believe it was over before I even started. So we can go ahead and continue this video for a few more seconds. I now have, you know, my ratchet, deep socket, 1/2-inch ratchet, deep socket, and a long pipe. All I want to do is break it loose. Hopefully I can do that. Let me see if I'll let you guys watch me. Either I'm going to break it loose or the car is going to come down on top of me. I'm not sure which. Let me get it in the camera. Where the heck is it? Come on, where you at? There we go, there we go. Okay, there we go. Well, nothing is happening. Let me get a little better bite back here. Can you believe this? Unbelievable. I've got it soaking in liquid wrench too. I'll soak it a little longer, I guess. Anyway, that's it for today, guys.